Hi, I'm Ethan, and I'm a data scientist at Maxis. Throughout my time here, I've worked in fields such as finance, sales, and consumer behavior. But most recently, I've been involved in multiple projects related to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Hi, I'm Kaiween. I'm an AI scientist at Maxis, and I've worked on projects that uses machine learning to recommend better products for our customers and also uses computer vision to solve problems such as video store monitoring and cell tower maintenance.
So tune in on the 23rd of July
to see how Maxis uses AI to always be ahead.
Hi, I'm Ethan, and I'm a data scientist at Maxis. Throughout my time here, I've worked in fields such as finance, sales, and consumer behavior. But most recently, I've been involved in multiple projects related to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Hi, I'm Kaiween. I'm an AI scientist at Maxis, and I've worked on projects that uses machine learning to recommend better products for our customers and also uses computer vision to solve problems such as video store monitoring and cell tower maintenance.
So tune in on the 23rd of July
to see how Maxis uses AI to always be ahead.
Hi, I'm Ethan, and I'm a data scientist at Maxis. Throughout my time here, I've worked in fields such as finance, sales, and consumer behavior. But most recently, I've been involved in multiple projects related to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Hi, I'm Kaiween. I'm an AI scientist at Maxis, and I've worked on projects that uses machine learning to recommend better products for our customers and also uses computer vision to solve problems such as video store monitoring and cell tower maintenance.
So tune in on the 23rd of July
to see how Maxis uses AI to always be ahead.
Welcome everyone, good morning. We are broadcasting live from Maxis today, and you are part of the Graduan Virtual Malaysia Career Fair. Really wish you were here with us. It's a really big room if you can take a look at the height of the ceiling. But today we just have the crew with us and those that were part of the organizing team. But I'm really looking forward to have you here in the next one. So my name is Agnel, and I'm from Maxis, and we have something really exciting for you today. So I hope you had your coffee and you're sitting back, relaxing, and we really want to have a great time in these next few minutes. So we are here to talk about leveraging AI to always be ahead. Artificial intelligence, woo, that word, you hear it so much. But today, we're going to share with you what it's all about. And we have some great speakers lined up for you. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce you the first speaker. He's really handsome, and I hope the camera does justice to him. But you can go check his Facebook, check his Instagram. Yeah, really cool guy. Can we have Raghav on stage with me? Hey, bro. Yeah.
Hey.
See, I missed the audience,
Welcome,
all the clap, oh yeah.
Hey.
Virtual fist bump. Okay. So Raghav he works in our data analytics team, and he's going to walk you through what our data analytics initiatives are at Maxis. Are you ready, bro?
Ready than ever.
Okay, cool.
Thanks, Agnel. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody from Graduan. As mentioned by Agnel, thanks for joining up the crowd. I'm Raghav, and I'm basically from the AI and Advanced Analytics team here in Maxis. The talk of today is leveraging on AI, right? We hear this buzzword a lot, AI, ML, and then AI technologies, ML technologies, right? We see things like CNN, neural networks, graph theory, all very complicated enablement technologies, right? But at the end of the day, what is important here in Maxis, what we look to do is, we look to see how you can actually have an applied objective enablement from all these various technologies that I just speak about. So now when we go down to, you're talking about neural nets. If you develop a neural net solution and it's not enablement to a company's end objective, then it has no value. So what we are trying to say is that in a space where you're talking about neural networks and you're talking about AI technologies, you have to come to a point and look is what is the big objective of your organization. Or it could be Maxis, it could be various other organizations, right? So what are your problem statements? What are your business objectives that you're looking to solve? Your modeling that you use in terms of your AI modeling and ML modeling can never be your defining factor to determine what solutions you're actually going to build. Your problem statements, your business objectives should drive what solutions and what models you're actually going to use, because then it brings value to our customers and throughout the world. So here, now what I'm actually going to go through is certain initiatives that we have here in Maxis that actually leverages on this amazing technology, amazing enablement to see how we actually use it in Maxis. So now if we move on to, so the first solution that I would like to go through is in terms of our retail stores. Maxis has various retail outlets and Maxis centers, right? So how do we leverage on AI technologies to actually help us make strategic decisions better? And this is not only applicable to Maxis. Everywhere that we go in a retail outlet, the business problems will be the same. How can I keep my customers engaged within the store? How do I drive traffic towards my store? All of this essentially comes down to strategic ad placements. Where do I showcase my products at which particular location? If we talk about a Maxis center and we talk about showcases in the Maxis center, not all locations are created equal, right? There's certain value tied to certain products in certain locations. How do we decide where do we actually place our products to have maximum impact to drive traffic into our store? So this is when the technology and enablement of AI actually comes in, where the next speaker is going to talk about how we use vision technology in order for us to track and detect the customers within the store and to sort of manage their journey and to also to predict which are the areas that they're essentially going to go. Because that at the end of the day is going to drive our business strategy in terms of product placements and how we can keep them engaged longer within our store. And the spin-off for this is it's not only applicable for Maxis. As an enterprise offering, this will be a valuable solution for anyone in the retail industry that is looking to ensure that their products get the maximum bang for the buck by engaging whoever is in the store in order for them to drive interest to new products as well. So if, say, I have an existing product that I know is doing well currently in the store, of course that is going to drive, that's going to be my maximum interest factor, right? But how do I leverage on this particular product to drive interest into a new product that I'm looking to launch? That's when the whole pathway and journeys of our customer within the store becomes crucial. Because if I know the pattern of my customers within the store towards a particular product, I can divert this particular traffic towards a new product and create awareness for a product that they might not have heard of from our ads. But by leveraging on an interest of another product, I'm able to allow new products that we deploy to get similar traction as well in terms of interest. So now if we move on to something that we are working with the government, when we talk about business strategy and business objectives, yes, the AI solution for retail is going to help us enable how we can actually improve things internally. But the advantage of this technology is we need to give back as well. As everybody knows, we are going through a global pandemic right now. Everybody is shocked and aware, and business strategies need to change. But we also need to take a step back and look at how we can actually use our platform and abilities to help not only our organization, but our country and our fellow Malaysians as well. So what we actually did was we looked to do cluster approximation and prediction of where our next hotspots are going to be, working very closely with our government, who has done a fantastic job to try to contain this particular virus. We, looking as an organization, to play our part and to help them in order for them to predict where the next cluster is going to be. And with the whole return of work coming in now, as an organization, we have to play our part to make sure that our employees are safe. So with the whole return of work, we are able to track and detect our employees back in the store to determine who they engage with. If anyone is having symptoms and all that, we are able to do contact tracing to isolate groups of people. So we inherently in our company are looking to play our part in this journey as well. So now when we speak about retail, we talk about physical channels that our customers are going to go to. With the impact of the COVID and your MCO, now we come to a point where digitalization and reaching our customers to where they are becomes all the more important. So the question comes with, how can we actually meet you at where you are to guide you into a Maxis journey, right? So that's where we come with our third, which is our recommendation offering towards our customers. So this internally basically defines a personalized recommendation based on our customer's previous behavior to be able to understand what are the products that he is most likely going to buy based on his past behavior and based on people who have similar behavior like him. So if you are a person who is on prepaid and you do regular top-ups, you know that this is something that you have to do on a regular basis, right? So you scroll down, let's say 20, 30, hundreds of different offers. You waste certain time in terms of selecting what offer is best for you. So as we at Maxis, how can we enable you to have a more productive and a better experience when selecting a product here in Maxis? Because at the end of the day, your time should not be wasted in selecting a product. Your time should be spent utilizing that product for what you're going to do with it, be it from an entertainment perspective or from a business perspective. So what basically our S1 recommendation offer does is if you go to our app, you basically get a list of offers that is customized specifically for you and people like you who show certain behavior towards certain products. So you reduce the time that you have to do searching and looking for offers, and you actually have something that you can look. And the key thing and the great thing about this is every time you select an offer, you feed into our recommendation that allows us to serve you better by understanding changes in your behavior, changes in your usage, in order to give you the best pass and the best service that we can actually offer you. And similar to this, we have a product recommendation on fiber as well. So from a perspective of obtaining our customers, who are the best people who actually will want fiber but they're not using it now, right? So you might be a customer and you might be using a mobile plan, but maybe you're not aware of a fiber product or you have not come across certain ads, right? In this space, how can we basically meet you at where you are to determine that you could be a potential person who will want to use fiber, and for us to actually recommend this product to you, knowing that you meet the characteristics of somebody who is going to use fiber and will benefit from a fiber enablement. So rather than going through the old school method of you actually going on the website and searching when you determine there is a need for fiber, if we already are able to determine that you require a certain product here in Maxis, we meet you at where you are and we propose this particular offer to you to reduce that whole engagement time and to make it sort of a seamless journey within Maxis in terms of using particular products that is most beneficial to you. And with this, I would like to end on one particular note, where there's a lot of companies that have data, right? But at the end of the day, what will set some companies apart from each other is the utilization of this data. How do you use this data to transform and improve the customer journey and the customer experience within your particular base? And how do you use it in a way that's responsible, that is allowing more people to enjoy your network without going through the manual process of searching and for a particular solution? But if a solution determines that it's needed to be used by you, you sort of get a recommendation for it. So it's a seamless transition between using a prepaid and using a fiber product. So with that, I'd like to say thank you.
All right, Raghav. Now, with whatever you've shared, I'm sure there are a lot of interest and questions from the audience, and we will take those questions later. All right, but before you go, we're not going to talk about this, but I have one question for you.
Shoot away.
And you must, I see you're a bit stressed right now. Now, if you designed your own dating app, what would you call it?
If I design my own dating app right now, I would call it the way of the future to meet your soulmate. But I already have a girlfriend, so I'm not looking down that
Okay,
path.
so that's why you gave it such a long name that nobody will remember. Okay, anyway, some virtual hugs, high five, and likes for Raghav. And we're going to take a break, and we will be back real soon. Thank you. See you.
Hi, I'm Ethan, and I'm a data scientist at Maxis. Throughout my time here, I've worked in fields such as finance, sales, and consumer behavior. But most recently, I've been involved in multiple projects related to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Hi, I'm Kaiween. I'm an AI scientist at Maxis, and I've worked on projects that uses machine learning to recommend better products for our customers and also uses computer vision to solve problems such as video store monitoring and cell tower maintenance.
So tune in on the 23rd of July
To see how Maxis uses AI to always be ahead.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, wait, no, Raghav has not with us now. He's gone out. He's sitting somewhere there. But on me, with me on stage is our second speaker, and I'm going to introduce her. Her name is Kaiween. Kaiween, say hi,
Hi,
to
guys.
everyone. And she's an AI scientist in Maxis, and she's going to talk to us about leveraging AI in retail. And without further ado, Kaiween, the floor is yours.
Right, thank you. Okay, so my name is Kaiween. I'm an AI scientist here at Maxis. Before I start off with the slides, I just want to maybe address, maybe some of you guys are wondering, what exactly is an AI scientist? What's the difference between an AI scientist and a data scientist? I guess these terms nowadays are a little bit ambiguous, but in our team at least, the reason why is because I deal with computer vision and not just numbers and data, hence the distinction. So about retail analytics, computer vision is a very hot topic these days. Even if you're not familiar with the term, maybe you've heard of facial recognition, object detection, and stuff like that. And essentially, that's all the tools for computer vision, and it's being used in many, many different fields nowadays. Anything from security, where it's being used to track criminals, or to, say, medical fields, where they're using it to detect cancer tumors in like medical imagings, and sometimes the accuracy is even better than humans. And retail analytics, essentially what it is that we want to understand our customers' behavior. You want to understand your customers, you want to cater to their needs, finding patterns in different customers and different groups of people and finding similarities that will help you cater to their difference in needs and give them better recommendations. So it's much more than just counting people. Like over here, say you see a concentrated group of people, a cluster of people. Maybe this is the best time to market something to them and give them better offers so it's most efficient. And you might also want to see their most common travel path, and that might differ on different time of the day, different days of the week. And also, if there's a new customer, you might want to, if they're looking a bit confused, you want to approach them, send someone to help them out and guide them out. So that's that. Okay, so this is a snapshot of the dashboard that we have. We currently have one running in Somewhere Pyramid. And what you can see is there's how many customers in the store, how many staffs are on duty, on average, how much they're spending inside the store. And if you build a trend line, you'll be able to monitor that, say, on weekends, you see a spike in traffic. And also recently, the MCO and all, COVID and all, you see a drop in customers. So this will help you manage your workforce better. Also, like heat maps and hot zones, these are how you understand your store layout better. And if you have a new product that you want to launch, you might want to put it in a spot that garners the most attention. And therefore, you would want to also maybe observe the reaction to the product and see the popularity of the product. So on a high level, how we essentially develop this solution is that every single time when a customer enters the store, it will be captured. The object detection model automatically detects the human and saves the features. It could be facial features, it could be anything that he's wearing, and it will be saved in the database, and we will be able to see where they track it within the store. So, the store is quite big, there's different cameras. So taking in the camera feed from different videos, you're able to, the thing you want to do is be able to say that person A in camera 1 and person B in camera 2 is the same person. And some form of image similarity model has to be run, then you'll be able to tag them as the same person while they travel within the store. And how you use this kind of tracking information essentially is to be able to say that maybe what's the outcome of the visit? Say some people might buy something, there's a transaction, or maybe they're just browsing around. So if you're able to tie that, maybe people who go from zone 1 to zone 4 and zone 5 always leads to some form of transaction. Maybe that's the best path for a customer to take, and you want to promote that path to increase sales. And I was also saying computer vision is such a wide field, right? It's just a tool. You can use it almost in anything. And here at Maxis, we're also a telco, obviously, and we have a lot of cell towers. So one of the things we use also, instead of using the object detection model to detect humans, you're using object detection to detect the cell towers and whatever you need to detect. And one thing is that currently, when you do maintenance of cell towers, you're doing manual inspection. So the traditional method, you send someone up to the cell tower, climb up, and then they'll measure the objects, measure the structure, record any defects, and it's very, very labor-intensive, time-consuming, and very expensive, and I guess a little bit dangerous. So the solution that we propose instead is to use the camera or the photos that's attached, the camera attached to the drone, and take in any photos and videos from the feed, and it feeds into the model. So it detects the objects on the model, on the cell tower, and say there's microwave antennas and radio frequency antennas, and you can do inventory checkings. So if anything's missing, if someone stole your microwave, you'll be able to know how many objects are on your cell tower. You also want to be able to do defect detection, so the health of the structure of your cell tower, and corrosion and paint peel. So if you're able to detect the severity, depending on the severity of the defect, you might want to send someone up to correct the defects. And if you track it over some time, you can even do predictive maintenance. So before I end, I just want to say thank you, but also the computer vision space is so widespread nowadays. We have so many different ways of using it, and I hope you've learned a thing or two about computer vision and how we use it in Maxis.
Thank you, Kaiween. Thank you, thank you. Now please send your virtual thumbs up, your virtual fist bump. I wish we could give you some real fist bumps, but thank you so much. Now, before she goes, so now you know, I ask all the speakers a question before they go. And now we're going to ask her, okay, Brad Pitt, she's AI scientist, remember, okay, Brad Pitt or Keanu Reeves, and why? But please don't say Bill Gates.
Brad Pitt, I guess.
Brad Pitt, okay, there's the first part of the answer, why?
Because he's cute.
Okay, cool. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Kaiween, our AI scientist. Now, before you go, and before we take another short break, let me introduce the next speaker you're going to see after the break. His name is Ethan, and he's going to talk about leveraging AI to fight against COVID-19. And he's got some interesting insights to share with us, but we will be back after this short break.
Hi, I'm Ethan, and I'm a data scientist at Maxis. Throughout my time here, I've worked in fields such as finance, sales, and consumer behavior. But most recently, I've been involved in multiple projects related to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Hi, I'm Kaiween. I'm an AI scientist at Maxis, and I've worked on projects that uses machine learning to recommend better products for our customers, and also uses computer vision to solve problems such as video store monitoring and cell tower maintenance.
So tune in on the 23rd of July
to see how Maxis uses AI to always be ahead.
Hi, I'm Ethan, and I'm a data scientist at Maxis. Throughout my time here, I've worked in fields such as finance, sales, and consumer behavior. But most recently, I've been involved in multiple projects related to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Hi, I'm Kaiween. I'm an AI scientist at Maxis, and I've worked on projects that uses machine learning to recommend better products for our customers and also uses computer vision to solve problems such as video store monitoring and cell tower maintenance.
So tune in on the 23rd of July
To see how Maxis uses AI to always be ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is Ethan and I'm a data scientist at Maxis. So today I'll be talking about some of the initiatives that we took in light of the whole COVID-19 pandemic. So I'll start off with a large-scale initiative where we were trying to use some analytical techniques to gauge the potential spread of the virus. From there, I'll share some observations and findings that we've gathered from the exercise. And finally, I'll dive into a smaller scale project that we've been piloting here at Maxis to ensure that we're all returning to the workplace in a safer manner as possible. So with that said, I'll start with the large-scale initiative. This whole thing basically started when COVID cases in Malaysia were just starting to show some signs of rapid growth and when some clusters were just beginning to form. So we discussed this as a team and we were quite determined to see if we could apply some simple modeling techniques like geofencing and graph theory to be able to come up with a prediction on how we thought the virus was likely going to spread across the country. So the first thing that we did was to identify some of the hotspots that were already present in Malaysia. And we did this by looking at cases that were reported online. We did this by looking at news articles to see what sort of clusters have already formed. And with these hotspots in place, we then applied geofencing as a means to determine what sort of aggregated movement there actually was coming in and out of these areas. And from there, we applied graph theory as well to gauge the potential spread as a result of all that movement. And finally, we just put some math into it to basically put everything together and to be able to generate predictions of how the outbreak was likely going to look like. So based on what we've modeled out, we then predicted a risk score for all the counties across Malaysia. And this was basically based on a few key factors. So firstly, we looked at the estimated size of the exposed population in any of these locations. And next, we looked at the interaction between these locations, so what sort of aggregated movement there was coming in and out. And finally, we also looked at the general population density at all of these counties. So with all that in place, we also incorporated an estimated reproduction rate. And what that essentially is a measure of how quickly a specific virus tends to spread. And having all that together, we ended up coming up with a prediction on the risk of any of these counties in Malaysia. Okay. Yep. So based on these scores, the map on the right is the clusters that we approximated. And on the left is the cases that were actually reported within a time span of about a week after we concluded this exercise. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of overlap in terms of the areas that we predicted and the cases that were actually reported thereafter. And as time went on, we continued to monitor this outbreak for the next coming weeks. And we found that a lot of the areas that we predicted were actually subsequently getting hit thereafter. Yep. And this is the same results, but for East Malaysia instead. So again, you can see that quite a few of the areas that we predicted were actually getting hit as well. Unfortunately, I can't really go into the details of that because it was confidential, but a lot of time was spent basically trying to solve these problems that they were having and trying to come up with plans to improve the situation overall. So in contrast to this high-level approach, we also looked at a smaller scale use case where we are trying to give Maxis employees Bluetooth devices so that we can actually track them when they come back to the workplace. So many of you know that many companies across Malaysia have started to require their employees to come back to the workplace recently. And here we want to make sure that we're able to do this in as safe a manner as possible. So we were thinking of what sort of technology we have that's available to us that could actually help us achieve this goal. So what we decided to start with was to give every Maxis employee a Bluetooth tag. And these Bluetooth tags obviously emit a signal which can be received by other surrounding tags in the vicinity. So basically, simply put, the closer two people are standing together, the stronger the signal is going to be received. And all these signals are going to be fed into a database where we can start to dissect that data, and we can start to actually perform the required analytics on it. But just like most real-life data sources, Bluetooth signals aren't always very straightforward to use. So if you actually to look at the signal, you'd see that there's a lot of fluctuation that has to be dealt with. And as a result, we have to basically perform a significant amount of processing and smoothing to that data in order to reliably extract useful information from it. But once that is all out of the way, we can then start to approximate the distance between individuals as long as they are within range. And we can also furnish that with information on the frequency or for the duration of how long individuals actually remain in close contact to one another. And once all that data is in place, we can then apply graph theory again. But in this case, for the purpose of contact tracing and for cluster identification. So this is what a typical graph looks like. And in this case, our Bluetooth signals, we feed it into some graph algorithms. And from there, we're able to deduce basically two main things. First is the strength of the connection between any given individuals. And secondly is to identify the clusters of individuals that were actually in close proximity. And based on this information, we're able to then ensure that our employees are returning to the workplace in as safe a manner as possible, and to ensure that we're all following the protocol that has been laid out and that we're maintaining social distancing throughout the day. And additionally, in the event that someone is actually tested positive for COVID-19, or if someone is feeling sick on any given day, we're then able to quickly dig deep into the data and to find the closest connections to the affected individual. And we're also able to single out entire clusters of individuals that could be of the highest risk of the spread. And as a result of all this, we're hoping to deal with any of these scenarios that may potentially come up in a much more targeted and a much more efficient manner, so that we can all start returning to the workplace with a lot more peace of mind. And that's it from me for today. Thank you guys very much for your time.
All right, thank you, Ethan. Now a big round of virtual applause for Ethan. Wow, I can hear it. Yeah, thanks. Thank you. And question, right? Yes, you remembered well. We cannot let him go until I ask this question. So Ethan, this is for you. If you were stranded on an island, which 5 people do you want to be there with you?
You, Raghav, Kai,
Wow.
Ming, and Sunita.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. That's how fast our data scientists work in Maxis. Okay, so thank you very much. Now, before you go, we're going to take questions after this. We'll come back for a Q&A session, but we'll take a break right now.
So I've been here about a year and a half now, almost. It's been pretty cool because the nature of my job involves me to travel around the country a lot. I get to see places that I would never imagine seeing on my own time.
I started off at Maxis as a scholar, and I joined the Maxis Management Associate Program, and I worked my way up into becoming a marketing specialist.
I was actually part of the Management Associate Program, so I got to rotate and see different parts of the business. I met a lot of great people. I've been coached by a lot of great mentors and great bosses.
My highlight is the amount of exposure that I've gotten. So I've been lucky, although I'm a fresh grad, to get the role that I am in, because this role gives me so much visibility across the entire division.
At Maxis here, the young people are really given the opportunity and the chance to contribute, to give ideas, to join and volunteer for things. So it's very open and there's a lot of opportunity for young people.
In Maxis, they don't just focus on work stuff, also try to develop you in terms of how you are as an individual.
Maxis gave me an opportunity to learn about business. How do you build a product? How do you ensure the product's stickiness, ease of use?
Maxis is indeed a company that values everybody's opinion.
Prior to joining Maxis, I did see it as just a telco, and I thought it was a typical corporate company. But ever since I joined Maxis, I've also realized that Maxis itself is going through a change. Maxis is going beyond telco. We are becoming a converged service company. We're doing more, providing solutions to people.
So we just went through a retail revolution. We're transforming the way that we're selling things. We actually just opened up our very first Maxis concept store at Gardens in Mid-Valley. In the shop itself, it's a lot more than just selling you phones. We're showcasing a lot more technologies.
Since I'm in core convergence, I mainly look after the telco stuff, but there's a lot of things going on outside where they're looking into IoT, machine-to-machine stuff. What gets me pumped is knowing that I'm needed here, that I'm making a difference with my team.
Move outside your comfort zone. Try things that you wouldn't have envisioned you trying in the first place, because that's what Maxis has done for me.
Don't think you can't join us just because you have no experience in what you're about to do. Because if you limit yourself by your degree or your past experience, you're never gonna explore things that you've never done before.
So whatever you do is a learning journey. Try to make the best out of it, and then finally at last create your own path that you would feel that adds more value to your life.
There is no such thing as too young or too fresh. As long as you are willing to work for it and you have the attitude to learn, any project is up for you to grab.
Welcome back from the break. We hope you enjoyed the video. Now we're here for our Q&A session. And I'm so privileged to have all three speakers join me up on stage to answer all the questions that you have sent in, that you may have. So let's start. Question number 1 came, using AI is good in terms of decreasing time in managing the people behavior. So can you share how can businesses adopt this even more? And I think, Raghav, that could be a question for you. So how can this help Malaysian businesses as well?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. Thank you guys for your questions. So here at Maxis, we understand that not every company is at the same pace with each other, depending on the size of the company and the degree of transformation that they're looking to do. But the key thing is when we look to create an enterprise product, say just take the retail product for example, right? So how can we actually enable these products for people who may not, for companies who may not be as far along in that journey as say some of the other bigger companies? So from a retail perspective, if we look at our breakdown of our retail solution, right? So we have images that come in, we track people, and we are able to identify behavior within the store. So as an enterprise offering, what we actually essentially tell our enterprise customers is, all you need to have is a CCTV camera, which inherently every retail outlet will essentially already have for security purposes, right? So the go-to-market strategy would be to reduce that burden of infrastructure on our enterprise customers, to say that if we are just going to leverage on your existing CCTV cameras, right, taking in the feed, running it through our models that we have actually built, and basically we will present you with a dashboard that you can actually view your analytics and you view your insights in a manner that is easy for you to use without actually needing to understand what actually goes on under the hood, and without making significant investments to revamp your whole infrastructure. So that's always one of the main thought processes that we go through when we try to develop a solution for our enterprise customers.
Very good. Thank you, Raghav. And our second question has come in. Being an AI or data scientist, we use a lot of libraries. Do we know how the mathematical equation behind those algorithms are? Kaiween, maybe you want to take this?
Right. So I guess I get this question quite a bit actually from newcomers, and I think the answer is yes, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately for you, that you really have to understand the equation behind it. No one's asking you to write down like the full equations, but you have to understand the underlying principles behind it to be able to use these tools, because there's so many different tools, there's different models, different equations, and just changing one backbone of the equation might result in different accuracy and the outcome of the models and stuff. So you really need to understand. If you don't understand, if things go wrong, or even if things go right, you don't know why it's going right, you don't know why it's going wrong. So every single time before I start a project, and if I'm using a different tool, I always have to go through many articles and even papers, in-depth studies papers, to understand why is the author doing it this way, and why it's not being done the other way, and stuff like that, to be able to use it in the first place. And that really sets apart someone who's just using these TensorFlow libraries and just applying stuff without understanding it, and also someone who's working as a data scientist and AI scientist to be able to work with these tools and use it in your project.
Cool. Thank you, Kaiween. Actually, that's the exact answer I had in mind also. Just never mind. Next one. Now, the third question has come in. Can someone with mechanical engineering go into the AI space? Ethan, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Kai is actually a mechanical engineer.
Wow.
I myself am a chemical engineer. So I think that among the people that we know in this field, I would say that most of them actually didn't have a background in data science or in computer science. So even our boss, Ashley, I mean, he had a background in engineering as well. So I think that, especially in engineering, you get a lot of transferable skills in terms of the things that you learn. And I think you just have to transfer that and apply it to a different subject, and like in this case, data science and AI. So obviously there is a learning curve, and it was difficult to begin with, but I think that you just keep learning as you go, and you can eventually basically pivot. Yep.
Very cool. So those of you who are in engineering, that should not stop you. So we have one more question that's come in. How receptive is the rest of Maxis to the products and the new approaches that we are doing, or that your team is doing? Raghav, I think this is for you.
Yeah.
How receptive is the rest of Maxis?
I think some of the questions that are coming in are really, really insightful.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you guys are paying attention. Say based on a journey, so basically this entire team was started by Ashley about a little more than a year ago. So in any organization, whenever you're going to try to do something new, there's always a legacy approach to do things, right? Some things that's tried and tested and worked. So whenever you're proposing something new that requires using technologies that may not be totally understood by certain sections of the pillars of the organization, there's always a sort of a lead-in approach where you sort of need to show the value. So when I talk about value, what value are we looking at, right? At the end of the day, it comes down to the business objective. You can have the best models in the world. You can have, for example, if you want to do a recommendation system, maybe the previous approach to doing it is pretty manual, where you're using certain analytics tools and you take in, say, 5 or 10 features in order for you to make your decision. So now if I come in here, I tell you that I'm going to use in 100 or 200 features, right? At the end of the day, that has no value unless you can show what is the benefit of using these additional features. So how does it come down to in terms of revenue that is obtained? So it'll always come down to an approach where you compare sort of an A/B testing, where you compare the previous approach to what you're doing now. And then you go into and you do a POC to determine what is the take-up and the revenue take-up of your new approach. Does it actually improve certain things that you're doing now? Does it actually improve revenue? Is it able to engage our customers in a better way? That's how you basically convince and you bring the organization along with you in this ride of transformation, to be able to look at it from a new way, but not just harping on what the model's capabilities are, but more for translating into a business objective to say that I can actually solve your problem in a better way, taking in more features in order for me to do my analysis.
And that's great. And that's how it gets everyone to come on board
Yeah.
with this initiative. Thank you for that. Now, next question. So we try to take as many questions as we can. The next one is, what's the most popular programming language used in AI? Kaiween, I think this one has your name on it.
I guess you can do it jointly.
Yeah, sure.
From my side would be Python. Currently machine learning and all is mostly based in Python. R, and it's a bit of a thing of a past nowadays. But Python and SQL for me, and a lot of other libraries like OpenCV and Pandas and stuff like that will really help you get things going.
Yeah, so again, I mean, if you were to learn one thing, it would be Python. In our job, obviously, we deal with a lot of data as well. So SQL always comes in handy. I would think that these two are the languages that you really have to master. I think other languages like R has its benefits as well, but nowadays Python is definitely the most popular.
And great, and I think you've addressed the question of what should be the programming skills that a graduate person should be familiar with. The next question is, what's the fine line between capturing data and the use of it and data privacy? Raghav, you want to take this one?
Yeah. So, we are all governed by certain, rules and regulations that is governed by the industries, which is and our organization, and the government, which is our PDPA. So, as what I mentioned, previously, everything that we are doing is to enable customer experience and customer journey within Maxis and improve the customer experience. But there's always a fine line to make sure that we don't look into breaking certain PDPA rules and all that. So there's a very strong governance within Maxis and within our organization and within our team as well to make sure that whatever is done goes through a very structured approach, that data is often generalized, so it's not looking into individual people, because that is the sort of the foundations of everything that we build upon. And it should be the foundation for every company that is dealing with data, because with the invent of 5G that's going to come out now, there's going to be a burst of data with IoT all coming up, right? So the responsibility of how we use the data is key and paramount on every company that looks to explore this part.
Good. And that's our commitment as Maxis as well. So the next question would be, what would a key performance indicator or KPI, if we use the term, be for both a data scientist and an AI scientist? Maybe the both of you can do this together.
Yeah, sure. In terms of a KPI, I mean, I think it's a fine line between meeting certain business objectives. Like for instance, if you are working under finance or something and they want to improve cash flow by X%, so you have those sort of business objectives that you have to achieve in order to obviously meet your KPI. But at the same time, I think we also need that added room for creativity and innovation. So if we do feel like testing something out, if a new technology comes out and we want that freedom to be able to explore those new things, I think that is sort of a looser KPI as well, so that we're always basically thinking ahead rather than just trying to meet business objective 1, business objective 2, and not really explore other options that are available to us. Yep.
I guess in addition, adding on would just be that you really have to keep trying. Sometimes all this data, they're just numbers. If you don't work on it, you don't get any insights from it. And it really takes a lot of time where you're just going into data over and over again to get not the insights that you want, but the insight that you can capture from the data and make sure that it doesn't just fit into the business objective, but it also really explains what things are going. Sometimes you'll find very interesting things, and those are really the ones that would eventually maybe become a project that the company wants to work on.
Great, and that's a really good flow to our next question, which talks about what is the difference between data scientists and data analytics, and which one should I do first? Maybe Raghav and Ethan want to take this one.
Yeah.
Should I do one before the other?
Yeah. So basically, I think the fundamental lead up to anybody that's looking to venture down this path is statistics, right? So you cannot run away from statistics. You have to know whether you're doing analysis of data with the previous approach, or whether you're using these models that actually power from a data scientist point of view or data scientist point of view. You have to understand from a statistics point of view, what is it that you're trying to achieve, what is it that the models are doing, right? It's just that when we talk about data scientists, they're sort of using models in a way that it inherently has certain formulas and functions to it in order to give a practical result. But from data analytics point of view, you're still meeting the same objective, but you're still analyzing data based on your statistical background. So you can never run away from that. It's sort of splitting hairs.
Yeah, I agree with Raghav, and I think that there is quite a bit of overlap. But at the end of the day, I think that overlap, that's basically the really important part. So even being a data scientist, if you want to work on more complex models and come up with more complex solutions, you still have to basically dig deep and be strong with the fundamentals, just like a data analyst would.
All right, thank you. Now, the next question is, what skills do Maxis seek in fresh graduates? Now, let me answer that for you. As I come from people in organization, and let me share that with you. As you can see from the speakers up that we have on stage, we like driven, high energy individuals who are resourceful, quick learners, and most of all with a great attitude and love having fun. And I think hope you've seen that with our speakers today. So if you feel that those are the traits you have, definitely please do send in your CV and join us. All right. Now the next question we have is Maxis currently acting as a consultant for major companies, government organizations, capitalizing on the expertise that we have? Raghav, do you have that insight?
Yeah. So we have various solutions currently that we offer as an enterprise offering. Some are already available, some are in development right now. And as what certain things that we went through just now. So for example, the retail suite where we provide retail analytics is an enterprise offering that we are looking to provide to our customers, enterprise customers. From working with government, the whole COVID analysis and the whole COVID approximation of clusters, working closely with them to be able to, as best contribute back with the knowledge and expertise that we have to help them in their fight towards containing this particular pandemic.
Great, and we have one more question that's come in. what is the expected background in machine learning when someone starts in the industry? Maybe Kaiween or Ethan would like to take this. What is the expected background in machine learning?
But in terms of like academic background?
Yes.
Or?
Maybe both in terms of if you have a little bit of experience or academic background, you could share on both, yes.
So I'll go first then. I mean, again, I was from mechanical engineering background. I did everything hardware. I learned about how the air flows, how fluid flows in general, and the structure and stuff. So I never really got to use that part of my academic training. But a lot of soft skills, like again, engineering and stuff, we have the key idea about engineers is that we solve problems, and that's not limited to just engineering, and we're using in data science and we're solving so many problems. So I guess the key is to be able to really look at the problem. From my side, from my point of view, is that really look at the problem and figure out ways to solve it, because no one's going to tell you how to solve it. You have tools available, tools like libraries and equations, all those are available to you, and your job is to figure out how to solve it. Hence, that's the key thing to solve problems.
Yeah, again, I think we all come from pretty diverse backgrounds, very different academic backgrounds. So again, I think especially with engineering, we get a lot of transferable skills. So obviously in data science as well, you need to be strong with math. And as an engineer, you have to be strong with math. So there's always that overlap. So I think it's important to at least build on those fundamentals that you normally have as an engineer, and to also obviously put in the effort to learn, because at the end of the day, it still does take a lot of effort. And so I think those are the two key things.
Very cool. And what tool is being used right now for the geospatial analysis to track the hotspots? I think, Ethan, this is for you. What tool are we using to do those hotspot movement tracking in regards to COVID-19?
What tools? Yeah, so I mean, in terms of the geospatial aspect to it, we actually do use quite a few tools. So there's open source tools like QGIS, there are other subscription-based ones like ArcGIS. But at the end of the day, I still use a lot of SQL and Python, because I think when you just code it instead, especially in SQL and Python, it's so much easier to reproduce. So yeah, I think SQL and Python mainly.
Thank you. Now we have this question: what is the hiring process for fresh graduates? Maybe I can share this with you. We do the CV review. We will review all your resumes, and those CVs that are reviewed will then move on to a digital interview phase. And something cool about Maxis is that we've been doing digital interviews even before we were with this pandemic situation. So we really want to use technology and also see that all our potential hires are comfortable with technology and using technology to even in this recruitment process. So that is one of the ways we do our recruitment drive. And if you're interested, please go through this with us. Okay, let me see if I could take maybe in the last couple of minutes that we have, maybe in no particular order, what would you like to tell our audience and our viewers as they're considering a career? Some of them are like, wow, so cool, Maxis, I never knew you had this. I thought you only do handphone stuff. Okay. What would be your advice as we say bye, before we say bye to all our audience today?
Yeah, so maybe I'll start first.
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, with this space that we are in, the technology is ever changing, right? So we shouldn't be too stuck on certain programming languages and certain models that we're actually using, because things change so fast. So how are you able to keep track with the changes in technology is you need to understand what is the potential of these models and programming languages that we use. For example, in order for you to do data analytics before, a lot of people used Excel. So there was a transition from doing things manually, and then data got a bit bigger, you moved on to Excel, right? So now data is getting much bigger that your Excel spreadsheet may not be able to accommodate those large data sets. So you just use another tool, you just use another language like SQL in order for you to extract the same amount of data. So these tools actually just enable you to process the data, which is ever growing. So you must be able to transition from programming language to another programming language, and don't be too hard and fast over learning a specific particular programming language, but more so of understanding what is the end of the day you're trying to achieve in terms of your analytical objective, and then figure out what tools actually that you need to learn along the way to answer that particular question.
Thank you, Raghav. Kaiween?
I guess along the same lines would just be that if you're like me, you don't have a background, and maybe you're trying to see you're interested in a field, you want to get into it, and then you feel like someone else has already had a head start in this entire computer science, data science thing. Maybe they did agree and you don't have it, right? And that maybe dampens your motivation and all, but I don't think that should be a consideration, because the field is moving so fast, as Raghav is saying, that what people have been in the field, maybe you've been in artificial intelligence field for like 50 years, what 50 years ago and now it's so different and things are constantly changing. I guess some of the fundamentals might be still similar, like what's the basic backbone of the equations and stuff, but it's moving so fast, even the newest people, the oldies who's been in the field, they're constantly learning and constantly trying to update in the field. Therefore, if you're joining in new, you're not that far behind. You just have to put in quite a substantial amount of effort to get into the game. But if you just have the passion for it and you want to keep going, then I don't think it would be a problem.
So again, I think it is a very interesting field. Obviously, it's moving very quickly as well. So in addition to actually just keeping up with all the trends and everything, I think it's really important to, apply what you're learning as well. Because sometimes if you're learning something in a very abstract manner, like, this is a neuron in a neural network, and this is how the gradient updating works and stuff like that. At the end of the day, I think you have to try to apply it on something fun to be able to really understand how things work.
Thank you. Now with that, we've come to the end of our session, and you've been a great audience, I can tell it, and you're still there with us, and on behalf of all our 3 speakers, we've really enjoyed this time with you and we look forward to doing it again. Now before we say bye, there's a few little reminders for you. Do follow us on our LinkedIn page. It's Maxis. Just follow us on that one. Share and like those posts that we have, the videos, the contents that we constantly put up. And on Instagram, we have an Instagram account as well. It's called Live at Maxis. And that will really give you a preview into how we work and how we play, how we have fun in the organization. And one more thing we'd like you to do for those of you that are watching is that we have 2 QR codes that will be displayed on your screen, and one of it is for you to rate this event, give us your honest feedback and how you rate this entire session that we've had. And the second QR code is that we want feedback from you so that we can do this better, learn how to make this even more effective and use technology better and even design our content so that it's really a great session for you. So with that, we'd like to say bye, and we'll see you real soon again the next time we have this conversation.